The Bunker Project is brought to you by Wix.com, the world's most popular website builder. You can build your own website for free over at www.wix.com. Check them out today. The Bunker Project, podcast episode number 79.
Manua Lowell, dry roasted macadamia nuts.
This week we're talking about macadamia nuts.
Yo.
And Joomla.
And macadamia nuts.
And whatever else all the bunker mavens want to talk about.
Plus tangents, absolutely. Hey, we got a frigging full house here tonight. And I just got to say, we've been doing voiceovers all goddamn afternoon. And I am on beer number 4, and we haven't even started the first show. That's all I got to say. I'm out of here.
Crazy show. But what were we doing earlier today, Bob?
We were drinking beers.
No.
Oh, before that, I had lunch. And, hey, we did a podcast.
We did.
It's podcast number 2. That's why it feels...
And
actually, we did podcast, and then we did like an hour and a half of voiceovers. And now, let's start a podcast.
It was an expensive podcast because now I have to spend $325.
No. Somebody brought over... Actually, let's... shall we get that Maven to jump right in, or are we just going to talk about it a little bit first?
I'm talking on a Heil PR40
Andrew's
right
new
now.
boyfriend. This guy, he loves the show. He played him on the show. He can't get enough of the guy. He actually went down to the States and slipped him a mick. He kidnapped him, and we've got him in the back room. He's real pissed off. But we'll be binging him over later in the show when he sobers.
So, yeah, the Heil PR40 I'm talking on right now is courtesy of artofpodcasting.com.
Courtesy. He hit the guy in the head and took it.
And... earlier today, we recorded with the mighty Quinn himself.
Yeah, nice
guy. We recorded a podcast on theartofpodcasting.com, which will be coming out probably around the same time as this. So if you go over to theartofpodcasting.com and listen to the episode, you'll hear us talking with Quinn.
Apparently, Quinn's got a bunch of shows, though.
Yeah.
He's got like that cool military show where they do all the doodads there. Like they did a review I hear a couple of years ago on a toilet seat, $78,000. Awesome piece of equipment, man. If you don't have equipment like that, you're messed up in the field, man. Wow. Anyways, back to the show.
And
by the way, Quinn's killing me later on. So
he's sitting there laughing. So we might as well bring his mic on for a second here.
Quinn, you want to defend yourself a little bit, or just keep trashing you?
I can if I need to.
His mic. Yeah. Oh, by the way, he brought his own mic. The thing weighs 32 pounds.
Not only
military spec.
Not only did he bring the Heil PR40, but he's talking into the RE20.
It's Big Bertha.
Big Bertha. I tell you, you could ride that sucker down.
So why don't you just quickly give us a recap or a summary of your military podcast and your artofpodcasting.com.
Well, the military show is Chairborne Commandos, and that's just military news talk radio. We basically interview and pick topics that really are relevant to the military community. We talk about all the things that happen to veterans after they get downrange and come back stateside, and the rehabilitation after you've been deployed at war for 2 years. And I'm a veteran myself, so that's a very meaningful podcast. And then a lot of the veterans in America, surprisingly, more than I think as far as the SBA, Small Business Association, is concerned, most of the veterans, it's one of the largest entrepreneurial communities. So I teach a lot of the veterans how to do what we do, podcasting, and that's a big piece of my marketplace is veterans that get on the art of podcasting. And we do the whole digital, small business, all that marketing and good jazz. So that's the other show. And then I do a bunch of stuff that's just entertainment-based. Like we have a True Blood show. That's on Wasted Space is the name of the network.
True Blood as in the TV show?
The HBO. Yeah.
Nice.
And then we do the Dexter
angle.
podcast.
Nice.
The which podcast?
Dexter.
Oh, yeah.
Oh, Dexter, on, Mr. Splash. Ooh,
WSPod.com. You can check those shows out.
Actually, you should check out Luther. It's out of London, England. 6 shows, 2 seasons. Not 8 shows, 2 seasons. Awesome. Like an hour and a half. Blow your mind. Really, really nice. Actually, the same quality as The Wire, I would say. Same grittiness as season 4 or 5. Anyways, digression. I got to have a beer.
So I just got back from Hawaii.
Actually, we sent out from
And
sent out for
James,
pizza, didn't you?
Before I left at the last bunker show, James said, "Bring back the macadamia nuts," and so I did. So we've all got macadamia nuts here, and we're doing a macadamia black beer pairing.
Oh, nice! That sounds like a good idea. So creamy and salty, nice, and salt and beer is nice. Bit of black beer. Wow, it's almost like as good as chocolate.
So James, why don't you
James,
Yo.
say why you like these macadamia nuts? Why?
Well,
What was it?
Last year, I was in Hawaii, and I brought you guys back some macadamia nuts, but I hadn't eaten them before I left Hawaii. So
yeah. So that it was his first trip to Hawaii, by the way.
no, it was the second one, but I just did not.
Wow, hang on. That was your second trip to Hawaii? What were you doing on the first trip that you never got into macadamia nuts, man?
I was just too busy.
Gaming?
Yeah, probably.
Yeah, that's the
I
thing.
think I was playing.
Trying to get level 14 in the hotel for 14 days.
Playing Angry Birds in the back of my of the car while we were driving around and stuff like that. Yeah.
The joys of Hawaii. That would be a good game for you to develop called vacation games, where you would be in a car and you'd be playing the game, but it would actually sync to where you were and would show you scenes of. So you could say, "Oh yeah, I was in Hawaii. I remember that mountain stuff like that. I was shooting some guys over there," and so people could actually experience the geography of a country when they go visit and enjoy a game.
Other than looking out the window?
Not if you're playing a game. You can't do both. Come on, unless you had a heads-up display. Oh. Can you get those, Quinn? Can you get those cheap? Heads up for like a PS3, and then you could have like the scenery.
It's gonna be Google
be
Glasses.
awesome.
I don't think you'll get a deal on those. I think they cost.
Well, no, there's Google Glasses.
couldn't they
Although
send
my
him?
cousin works at Microsoft, I can't get the inside scoop on the Xbox.
Yeah,
I can get that
oh,
at a reduced price.
Talk to the. Are you an no PS3?
No, Xbox.
Yeah, Xbox cool. All right, get thumbs up this way.
We could do that.
That's
stuff.
all.
All
That's
right.
all I got. Xbox.
Oh well, he can work with that.
And if you
All
need
the
some
military
boring
guys.
Microsoft
Personally,
program,
I need a heads-up display to do the bunker show.
Use Windows 7.
I really do.
Or
Could you
Windows 8.
could we get a heads-up display to review for just a couple of weeks?
Google is going to be coming out with one by the end of the year.
A heads up.
Yeah.
Those are heads-up glasses,
Google
though.
Glasses.
Yeah,
that's,
Google.
That's
yeah,
exactly
Google
the
Gla-
same thing.
I want the full-on the green and the that'd be awesome.
Google
Down the street, a hard time getting over the border. All right,
So we've got too many people
back
here.
to the show.
We've got too many people here today to do a roundtable introduction, I think.
Yeah, well, we just
The
got
guy
a bunch of
laughing.
mavens. Look at the pictures and go to Unsent to Social Underground. We got a bunch of pictures. You can see yourself.
We got Marcel
We got
from
Stevens-
the movie
okay.
yearbook here.
We got Steven Spielberg's here in the yellow cap. Awesome. He drinks with me a
Got
lot.
Terry the
That's where we come up
locksmith.
with these
Mine's
ideas.
David Bowie.
We got the hat maven, Kurt Hemingway.
Okay, are we going to unmute everybody?
Already
All
done?
right, yep.
I'm,
What? David Bowie?
We've got
Where?
the
I didn't see him
communications
earlier.
maven
David
here.
Bowie. I'm a game designer. I've been a game designer for 7 years on AAA.
Wow.
Right on.
Good platform game.
Oh, hang on. Aren't you the gaming maven?
Yeah, I'm the game.
So
Maven.
what
This is-
mavenhood does he get? He gets like
This
the
is the game developer. Maven.
game god or something
Well,
like
no,
that?
he's the code maven.
Code?
I've been
Gaming
designing-
code maven.
I do coding and all sorts of things. I've worked on.
So you're kind of like, what's that movie where it was going? What was that? The Matrix. You're kind of like a Matrix dude,
I
right?
was. That was-
You look at the you're looking at a game and say, oh, what do you think of this guy's? All I see is code. All
Yeah.
I see is code. That's
That
cool.
It would make game development so much easier if I could have a direct neural interface.
Well, you should, IT, if you could pitch them and say, look, we'd be like 30% more efficient if we could get a direct neural input,
I think they
I
would
thought that was
like
called
it if we were
pot.
in pods.
Yeah, well,
we
that's
didn't
what I
have
love.
to eat or drink, and we just made games all day.
Yeah. Well, it's not only just game making, but it's like the interface with management as well. That's the hard part. That's why they pay you the big bucks. I mean, if you're just making games, you've done it for free. It's interfacing with management. That's why you have to charge the money.
Oh, absolutely.
Actually, that would be a great way to pitch yourself. You say, oh, yeah, I'm a killer coder and stuff like that. I'm unbelievable. I've done all these games. Oh, yeah, we want it. But I got to charge you about $350,000 a year. It's like, what?
Yeah.
Well, because I got to interface with assholes like you. You say, well, I like the guy's attitude.
Next time I'm looking for a job.
Yeah. Don't never ask Bob for a quote because I was asking for like $35,000 for something the other day. Yeah, we were sourcing. I said, if you can bring me something for $12,000 and I can sell it for $35,000, I will give you the $12,000. That was the business deal. Nobody called me on it, man. It's a hell of a deal.
That's a great deal.
I know. I tell you.
I'll take that.
I got to find a buyer first, but
So who else do we have in the house? We got the car maven.
yeah, Ian.
We've got the Twitter maven.
Yeah. We're hurting for mics today. We got like too many people, not enough mics.
We're here.
Yay.
And here.
Yeah.
Yeah, we're talking about Fisker Automotive. Just launched a new franchise here in Vancouver for the electric hybrid car from the new 2.5 Men. So pretty cool.
Ooh, very nice.
cool.
Wait, is it, what's the name of the car? The 2.5
Fisker
Men?
Automotive.
Not the 2.5 Men car?
No, the new guy from 2.5 Men, the guy who replaced Charlie Harper, he's driving
Yeah.
one. The guy who's getting divorced soon or whatever. Yeah, Kushner. Yeah.
Well, actually, I've seen some of the sports cars, like the BMWs, and they've got 2 seats and then like a half a seat in
Well,
the
I think
back.
this is a four passenger, but it's like a performance hybrid. So if you want like a Ferrari, but you're kind of environmentally sensitive, this is what you buy. Yeah, you kind of feel a little responsible, but you still want to go. Yeah,
Crunching
Fisker
those
Automotive.
numbers. Yeah, you can do
it's a
anything
nice
with a
car.
graph.
It's kind of like the Tesla, but it kicks serious ass. That's kind of the point.
I want to kill trees.
Okay, we're going to throw it out. We've got the unknown Maven. Ian, why don't you just keep that mic? Those guys
It's
can share.
what is it? The International Man of Mystery maven.
Yeah, the International Man of Mystery here. He doesn't have a mic because he is a man of
And
mystery.
the BC Insurance maven.
We actually took a picture of the Man of Mystery one day.
Hello.
Oh, look at that! That's the first time he's ever been on mic. I think we could sell that to CBS, make some big bucks.
We've got the Optimizer maven in the house too.
Yeah, we had the
Optimizer.
locksmith Maven, but he locked himself in the bathroom, so he's not here right now. But he's
we've
working
got-
out with a sledgehammer.
We've got Sanj. We've got the
Sanch, yeah, he's the. Hey, he doesn't have a what do you call those things?
$5.
Maven hood.
Yeah.
Yeah, $5. Yeah,
He doesn't have $5.
yeah, $5 for his fancy
No, I didn't say he didn't
PDF
have $5.
license.
That's how much it costs for Mavenhood.
It's only $5
Yeah.
for God's
I've never
sake,
seen you pay for your Mavenhood.
and it goes for black beer.
Now that's $5 Canadian though, right?
Yeah, that's true. So the Americans are out.
Well, actually, it's cheaper. It's $4.95.
Oh, okay.
Yeah. So don't be discounting my beer, Duddy.
I'm not discounting the beer. I'm just talking about the state of the economy.
Yeah, it's true. It's true. It's hard to get a black beer down these days.
So we're going to talk a little bit about Joomla. We got Kurt and we got Sanj here.
Oh, yeah, we should maybe give them a mic each. Neither of them have... Oh, Kurt's got a mic.
Before that,
This is going to be a one-sided argument.
wanna
I guess.
mention- I want to.
How you doing, brother?
I want to
Good
ask
seeing you.
Margaret a question about tweet a
Margaret,
beer.
tweeting on beer.
Tweet a beer. Yeah, I want to hear about this.
Yeah, I saw a tweet about you can tweet somebody a beer and it works through PayPal and Chirpify. I went on to check it out, but then I found out Chirpify, some of the terms and conditions were that they can follow people and tweet on your behalf. I thought, no effing way.
So if you give them a beer, they can tweet on your behalf.
No, Chirpify can tweet on your behalf, not the
Do
person.
they sell the tweets too, like Twitter's doing?
I don't know, but I think the whole thought is like, I don't want you following people for me, and I don't want you tweeting for me.
Let's sell their tweets that you did 2
And I
years
thought,
ago.
forget that. Okay, PayPal me a beer and tweet that you did it. I'm happy.
But not follow
Well,
people.
just revise the terms and conditions.
Well, I'm just going to bypass Chirpify and game their system.
Just do a screenshot.
So we should start our own bunker app.
Listen, that was a great idea. I don't agree. How can we work this out?
Well, and also Chirpify keeps 20 cents. So if somebody sends you the $5, then you only get $4.80.
Well, you
Oh,
know
so they get a
that,
finder's fee for chirping for you too?
that part I was okay with.
That part's okay.
That part
Yeah, I could live with that, but I don't want Chirpify following people on my behalf or tweeting on my behalf because that just totally creeps me out.
What about Pinterest? Does the same thing, doesn't it?
no.
Pinterest doesn't follow people on your behalf.
Yes, it does.
Pinterest
11
is
people when you
so
first
last.
Yes, it does.
Pinterest isn't last week.
Hang on, Bonnie.
We talked about Pinterest last week.
Is so
Penny-
last week.
Well, we did talk about it last week, but
Hey, nobody's sending me beer
Trover?
through
Is
Pinterest.
that what
I
you
don't
mean?
care.
Trover is hot.
Trover.
Oh, Bonnie, you just have to take.
Is that the dog version of
You know,
Pinterest?
I don't get any work done during the week because of Bonnie. Says, "Oh, Bob, no, you don't want to get. I just got into that.
Hey, Bob,
3.5 hours
I
in.
guess Rover is done. It's Trover now.
Trover, yeah, over Trover. And
You guys are totally wrong.
It's going to be
Exploder.
Grover in 3 weeks.
And that's like, it's based off of the Toyota cars that had to get recalled. The Exploder.
There's been I can't count the digressions at
It's
this
so they
point.
can, it's so they
but
can
this
communicate with their
this
community.
is an all drink. This is an all drink digression.
Yeah, but
All right.
Exploder is good, so it can get like their message out to the people that bought the car out faster.
Okay.
It's a social network for recalls.
Really? Social network? I would rather get
nobody's
the
done
app.
that yet?
It's more of an app. I would say, you want beep beep. By the way, your brakes are going to fail the next 48 hours. Oh, okay, good thing to know. I don't want to discuss it. I just want to know.
Awesome.
There is one. It's called Cars Are. It's for people who want to tweet about different vehicles, or post about different vehicles on their smartphone. It's called Cars Are. I don't know if it took off, but they were talking about it about a year and a half ago.
Really?
And it allows you to take pictures of a car and then talk about it when
Yeah,
you
but
want,
that's-
when you have, whatever it is.
I need to interrupt for a second. Andrew, your nuts are awesome.
I found them oily and salty. Oh, harsh. I'm going to fix that. I'm
Sorry,
fine.
microphone accident.
So where were
All right.
you in Hawaii?
We stayed in Kauai.
Yeah.
It was there was a national emergency.
Kauai, the
Mud
Garden Island.
slides. Yes, it was awesome.
What happened in the national?
But at the same, but I mean, it was awesome. It was a good, relaxing vacation. But the weather wasn't good, and there was flash floods and mudslides and all sorts of things going on. It was crazy.
Oh man.
Okay.
Did you go surfing?
No,
No.
No.
Not
Did you
this
play
time.
video games on the beach like the Maven?
no, didn't do that either.
Oh, man, what a loser.
Yeah. Loser.
At least he got a
Oh
score
my God,
upgrade.
Andrew, does that mean you have a life?
Something like that.
Andrew.
Oh,
Andrew's life is 10 months
Hey,
old.
you know about my insurance plan and how much I travel, so you can't say I don't have a life.
Yeah, I'll tweet you a beer later.
Oh, that's
Bring on the stalkers,
not
right?
likely.
Maybe she'll finally follow me.
we're
After
20
that.
minutes into the show on Joomla.
I know that was.
And
a
how's
joke.
that going
Fascinating show. The
Is the
tips
show
and-
on Joomla? Is it on
Tripify
Joomla?
would follow me.
Is it on Joomla?
Yeah.
Yeah.
Okay.
Today's
So,
show is Joomla.
Yeah, it was supposed to be definitely on Joomla. I've got a question for
What
for
about
our new
WordPress? Is that part of
visitors.
that?
Hello,
Yeah, why
Quinn.
there?
What's the culture, the podcasting culture up in Seattle or down in Seattle, whatever you call it, compared to what you have here right now?
Yeah, but I think
Well, I
Quinn's
live
out
in
of
Seattle
proportion.
as well. I'm all over the place.
He's on the run.
I think the podcasting culture here is a madhouse. You guys got it. This is where it's at. This is, I think, genius. That's why I wanted to be a part of it, because I really think there's something to be said for bringing, small business into an environment like this. It's really kind of similar to BNI. I don't know if you guys are familiar with that platform,
Yep.
business networking. But then to take
Less mics.
something like this and put it back online, I think is genius. So it's the best of both worlds. So.
Cool.
Wow. Thank God somebody finally decided what we were doing.
So, Bob, did you get a written endorsement, or does that cost money?
That cost me
Okay.
a $22 cigar from
The
Cuba.
problem is I'm losing money here because I keep invoicing him in American dollars here.
Oh, okay. Well, you got to
Okay,
change
we're
the
losing
currency.
out, man.
Maybe euros or something.
Pounds. We're going
Euros? Oh, pounds. Okay.
Yeah.
Yeah, euros are on the downward spiral anyway.
Yeah, and you
Okay.
can't buy black beer on Amazon, I just found out. So,
Which, by the
what's
way, I love
use?
Canada, and you guys fleeced me hardcore at the border.
Oh, I know,
What?
I know.
Why?
Solid fleecing.
He almost had
it's
to
not
bend
important
over.
what you're bringing in. It's can we collect the tax money?
Yeah, what happened?
that's
I want to
what
hear
it
this
turned out
story.
to be.
I want to hear this story. What happened at the border? Hey, Quinn. What happened at the border?
Somewhat militant.
All right,
She does them all.
I'll tell you guys.
I want to
the-
hear a Canadian, an American coming into Canada.
Here's the short story. I've been here a lot of times, and over the past 10 or 15 years of coming into Vancouver, it's progressively gotten worse. Now, as a responsible American, as my friend here says, I know that we caused 90% of this.
Responsible of what?
America, America,
Pardon?
America.
I know, aware. I don't think responsible, more
here's what I'm
aware.
saying. I'm
is a
taking
better
the
word.
blame. Put it down. I'm taking the blame. We tightened up the borders, and you guys just reacted. So we have nobody to blame but ourselves. So we get over, and I haven't been here for about 3 years. I get to the border, and I have my sunglasses on, which are prescription. I wasn't trying to be some gangster cool guy. I can't
But he
see.
is.
So I roll up to the freaking booth. The guy, immediately he has to establish authority, and he goes, "Why do you got your glasses on?" I go, "I can't see," and I just take them off. And he goes, "Roll down your windows," because I got a slight tint on my car. And then, of course, he's looking at my tags, which I have Florida tags. So then he's like, "You drive all the way up here from Florida?" I'm like, "Well, not in a day, but in a couple of weeks' time, yeah." He goes, long way to be driving. Who are you trying to see? And I'm like, well,
The Bunker Project.
I got some friends that I met online.
From Vancouver.
And I told him, I said, look, we're doing a little radio gig. We're gonna do a show. And he goes, are you recording this right now? And I'm like, no. So then he's like, do you know these people? I'm like, well, I haven't met them yet. So now he's like immediately suspicious. He's like, well, where do you work? And I'm like, well, I'm in broadcasting. He goes, well, what's the name of the company? I'm like, well, I own it. I'm not employed per se. So now it's like, you don't know these guys. It's some internet thing. He doesn't know what a podcast is. So he's like, you're going over to the glass covered area, buddy. So he gets me over there. He goes, give him this pink slip and goes, sit down. So I'm in line. He's going through my wallet. He gives me the arms out, checking for knives. And I have a concealed weapons permit because I do carry a gun, sometimes stateside. And he's like, you got a gun in your car? I'm like, no. He's like, well, when was the last time you had a gun in your car? I'm like, I don't know, maybe a month
Did you
ago?
lose it on the way?
10 minutes ago.
What type of gun was it?
So then I go, look, I know what you're trying to do. I'll help you. I'm like, I got their information. We're going to work out the logistics when I get over there. And he goes, hey, look. This is what he tells me. He goes, you got a Canadian passport? I go, no, sir. He goes, you better lose the attitude. Because I'm trying to give him the info. So I'm like, just call my friends. So that's like the get out of jail free card. I'm like, these guys got to pick up or they're really going to go over.
Okay. I just got to interject. You know who he calls? You. Me.
So Bob, were you half in the bag when you answered it?
I tell ya, I was on the way. I had my headphones on a bus, and a ding ding. I say, hey, how's it going? And this guy says, real official. I say, hi. Are you expecting somebody from the United States today? I said, yeah, there's this guy who's coming over for our show. And he said, what's his name? Oh, hang on. I can't remember. But I remember I met him on the line. He's a really cool guy, loves our show. So he's coming down. Is the show for profit? Are you kidding? I would love it to be for profit. It's a podcast. It's just a hobby, for God's sake. So it's okay. And do you have guests? Is he the only guest? Oh, no, we have guests all the time. Sometimes we have 24 people in this little tiny room. We drink beer. It's amazing. Don't you listen to podcasts? Oh, my God. And I pitched the guy. He couldn't wait to get off the phone. Yes, sir. Thank you very much, sir. Okay. You want some more information? He was so glad to get me off the phone. He got him over the border.
But see, it turns out after he realized my story is legit, I'm not some terrorist Unabomber type.
Or a marijuana import exporter.
He comes clean and he goes, a lot of Americans jump the border, they earn income over here, and they basically don't declare it. So he's thinking I've got some gig going in Vancouver, and I'm just racking Canadian dollars.
Oh yeah, big bucks at the Bunker Show.
Back over the border, yeah. So.
Well, I go over the border a lot, and sometimes I fly to Seattle. So last time, and usually when I go over the border of the States, it's fine. They ask a couple questions. It's fine. You expect a militant stance, so you just sort of deal with it. But last time I came back, and like the Canadian side, they got like now black uniforms. Used to be like the nice guy, but now they got like the paramilitary uniform. Exactly, they got the handguns. They're getting the stance.
They're really tuned up now.
Yeah, and I go back and I'm like, they're asking me those questions like, where were you? Where did you go? How long you been there? I said, buddy, like I'm Canadian, man. Like I'm coming back into the country. Like give me a little bit of a break here. They were just as hardcore as on the U.S. side. I was like, there's something wrong here. Like what's going on?
They're not Canadian.
Listen, you guys can blame me. It's our fault. We screwed up our good relation with the border. We really did. Because back in the day, we used to, you got ID? No, look, I'm just here to party. Have fun, man. Go to this border. Nobody cared. Now it's like.
Yeah, but the other thing that's crazy is even if you want to pay tax, they still ask these questions. Like he was like, well, what were you doing there? And I'm like, listen, man, like I don't need the degree here. I just want to go home, thanks.
Trying to smuggle 30 cases of booze into your country, you give me a hard time. Oops,
I was like,
never
look,
mind.
I drink Crown Royal. Cut me a break. I mean, come on.
Do you have any drugs? No.
Yeah, I have a prescription for it. My doctor said I couldn't get the marijuana license, so I got the whiskey license. Give me a break.
Can we get those in Seattle?
Absolutely.
The funniest one, though, about the border, though, Bob, is my grandmother. She didn't like paying tax at the border, so she'd bought a fifth of Jack Daniels or something. At the border, they were like, well, you either got to pay tax or we got to confiscate it. She goes, no, there's a third option. I'm like, what do you mean? I can drink it.
Yeah.
They're like, what? She starts drinking this... In the car, she starts drinking this bottle of liquor because she didn't want to give it to him and she didn't want to pay the taxes. It was hilarious.
All right, that qualifies as a digression.
Yeah.
Joomla now, Joomla.
Okay.
That's the grandmother that doesn't apply to the 7 words you can't say. Remember?
Yeah. We did that on the
Don't
Cambodian border
open up
once.
that box.
Exactly.
That's done. That one's done.
You can't. Whatever your grandmother wouldn't say, that's what you can't say in a podcast. Except for
Well, my
Ian's
grandma.
My grandmother was not typical.
No, I had a pretty gnarly grandma.
Crochet.
She used to like to drink beer.
All right.
All right,
So
so
let's,
let's get tech. Let's actually give some content for the god. I mean, these people. When are they going to get the content? Joomla. I really need to know about Joomla. It's
Joomla,
like,
please.
how many
Joomla
were like-
intro. Drum roll, please.
23 minutes into the show, we mentioned the word Joomla.
Okay, are we done?
All right, so let's pass the mic over. We have 2 Joomla specialists that we had flown in here from far afield, and one of them's refusing to speak because.
Joomla battle. Joomla
So we have lots of questions for you guys, but before we get into that, I'd like to get a 1 or 30 second explanation or 1 minute explanation from each of you about what Joomla is according to you. So let's, Kurt, I'll let you warm up the mark.
All right. Well, good day. Joomla is a content management system. I've been working with it since day one of its inception, and just prior to that, when it was a thought and actually a commercial product, and it was released into the wild, and we have it today. Content management as a whole, for me as a developer, as a programmer, allowed me to speed up my product to market in a big way. I used to toil with Dreamweaver and code and scratching it out in every page, and when the content management systems came along, they took a lot of my development tools and made them into graphical buttons, and I can fly through it, and it's literally all it is. And that's what a content management system is. It's a graphical interface to a good number of the developmental tools we would use anyways.
So basically a WYSIWYG for code.
Yep.
Okay. Over to... now, you're going to have to get much closer to that mic, dude. So what would you say in 60 seconds or less, what is Joomla as a producer?
I think Kurt pretty much nailed it right there. It's a function-neutral content management system, meaning Joomla is, in the true sense, a content management system. It's not something else that also does something else. WordPress and other content management systems are meant for blogging. They're in fact a glorified blogging platform that also does other stuff. Joomla tends to be very neutral. It's more corporate in nature. It tends to be a bit more pleasing for the technical side. WordPress tends to be favoring more of a layman's browser.
So what do you think? Does it have cleaner code to just cut to the chase?
It depends on what you're doing with it, I guess.
Okay, that's a good opening question.
WordPress is very popular for do-it-yourself.
Right, but we're talking Joomla here. So you were just saying in certain situations it has cleaner code. In what situations is it better? Is it most? What is the best application for it?
WordPress.
You know, am I doing a website? Am I doing? What's the best thing to use Joomla for?
I think the best thing to use Joomla for is for anything. It's a very broad spectrum content management system. It's got plugins for the usual mundane things like blogs and newsletters and other stuff. But it also gives you full freedom to program it or fine tune it the way you want it to do.
But if you know code, right, you would have to.
Yes.
You know, you have to tweak.
Not necessarily.
Simple code.
Not,
okay, Kurt.
Not too. It's yes and no. When it first came out as a developer, and I first saw it, my first thought was, wow, I can crank out a website, a fully functional, heavily resourced website, hand it to the client, and there's a good chance I'm not going to get as many phone calls. That's what impact it had on me. And then I soon realized, well, it is technical enough still that I still had now a space to offer content management services to manipulate it in the back end.
Okay.
So it wasn't as easy as I thought it would be to the clients. But let's just talk about the difference between WordPress and Joomla. And I'd really
Okay,
like to
let's
speak to
define it
that.
because we
That's
did
what
a
I'd
whole
like.
WordPress show. And
Yeah.
okay, all right.
That's what I'd like to hear.
All right, so
What's the pros and cons?
to me, the what happened here is Joomla, as a framework, has been in development for about 7 years, and has attracted. Actually, this is a fact. attracted people on their forums talking about Joomla and how to and whatnot. They have the most visited and used forum on the planet of anything. So in this vein. But aside from that, the developers, the third-party developers, this is one of the most important things, is third-party developers creating an array of products from e-com to Facebook to galleries to any function you can imagine. There's, I think, probably close to 4,000, but I could be wrong, maybe close to 6,000 developers all cranking out products for Joomla that plug in. Now, this is a tried and true framework, and we embed WordPress in Joomla. That's what Joomla is. It's extremely powerful. Yes, WordPress is good, but it's for the DIY folk that eventually could get tired and frustrated with it. So the difference between Joomla and WordPress, if you're in business and you want a business-grade website, get a professional to do it. They'll more than likely do it in a framework of Joomla. Although I'm seeing developers work for WordPress, I'm still not quite convinced that is a robust enough framework for business-grade websites. But they are on the tails of Joomla. So why would you ride on the tails when you can just sit up front?
So
Okay. So
Why are they on the tails? How did you come up with that? I'm just curious.
It's because they've been in development in a very short period of time in comparison to what Joomla does. And what you have to do with a framework like this is you got to be in the water a long time so you attract the developers to create the resource and functionalities to plug into your...
Yeah, you have to have the
What do you mean
community.
by a long time? Like, obviously, WordPress has been around for how long? A couple of years?
It's not a lot. It's not enough time in development to attract what it needs to attract to make a robust framework to make a business-grade website.
Okay,
How do you explain the adoption then? Of
That's because it's this so-called easy to use, and DIYers go, "Oh shit, I can get right in there."
Okay, my question is because WordPress has a huge community as well, and they've got a ton of plugins.
Well, there's limitations.
Does Joomla have an equivalent amount of plugins?
Way more. Way more.
See,
but just because they've been developing for much longer.
I haven't been exposed to this at all, so that's why I'm asking these questions.
Mm-hmm.
So plugins and widgets and all that kind of stuff, that's all part of...
Joomla came up with it, really. Drupal has been, and I actually did a Drupal project last week, but Drupal still is not as elegant
programmers.
to use. It's Drupal is probably your industrial strength, and then you have Joomla, and then you have WordPress and a whole bunch of others that sit in that.
So is it like Gorilla Glue? Gorilla Glue? Is that what you compare it?
What's Gorilla Glue?
No, I would
That's like
say
super glue.
All right, do you want to jump in there?
Yeah, absolutely. I think the plugin market has been kind of lopsided. When you look at the development for plugins and for WordPress, it's like, kind of following the herd. Like if you're looking at social media plugins, WordPress, for each little thing, there's like 15 different variations of social media. Reason being, average layman does a layperson, to be politically correct.
Laywoman, you mean?
When they do a blog post, the first plugin they'll throw in there is like a social media plugin. So there's like it all the plugins that are for, I shouldn't say all, but most of the plugins that are for WordPress tend to be more pleasing the average blogger. Mm-hmm. So there's like for a little bit of an SEO and a little bit of social media. But like Kurt said, if I'm going to design a website for a law firm or some like a corporate setup, and if I give them a WordPress website, although you could argue the fact that WordPress is better or Joomla is better, guess what? They'll probably look at me and go, "I paid you money for this." So even in the corporate world, it's an established standard that Joomla and Drupal means corporate, more secure, more sophisticated, more. And the other fact that I like tremendously more about Joomla and Drupal is that it gives you different user level access. So in a different, like you say, you have a corporate structure, you have a front desk gal who just does the publishing of the article, but the manager then come in and validate it and edit it, and then there's somebody above it, and then there's somebody above it.
Is there someone? Is it mobile? Like, is one better than the other on mobile?
I think that's a question that's outside of what he's talking about right now.
Yeah.
I think what he's saying is that Joomla and Drupal, those platforms are more designed for businesses that are into making money.
Absolutely.
So more
Whereas that
business oriented.
compared to if you're going to do WordPress, it's a quick fix. It's an easy way to get something up. And like we use WordPress for Uncensored Social Underground because it's boom, 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 boom. It's done. We're finished. Now, if we wanted to get into something a little bit more serious, like making a network and having a bunch of shows and having those shows paid for and blah, blah, no way I would do that with WordPress because it's kind of like Microsoft Word is right now. You get Microsoft Word, it's like 7 million frigging bits. It's ridiculously large and it does everything and drop showers. It's a piece of crap for that. It's a typewriter, for God's sake, which has got all this other junk put onto it. If you want to do page layout, don't use Microsoft Word, use InDesign because that's what it's designed for, and it does beautiful stuff. And if you want to do proper code, it used to be the old days, you do it by hand, it's cleaner. And if you want to spend a lot of money, Joomla and these, content management, products, it's the hybrid. It enables people to do very sophisticated websites that are graphically verbose and communicate very well, but also has a back end that can plug into something like Salesforce or the things that make money companies business. Make them money.
So
and that's what it's all. Yeah,
I have a
go
quick
ahead.
question. I mean, so let's say you started with a WordPress site, and let's just say that's what you were comfortable with, and then as your business got better, could you then migrate that to Joomla and get more sophisticated features, or would that have to start from the ground up again?
Your migration consists of copy paste.
Yep.
And
So
then
you could definitely do that.
then you reevaluate the functions and resources, plugins, whatnot that you need, and then we get them Joomla specific.
Yeah.
So you could do that easily then.
Yeah, for a lot of my clients, what I do is I will, they blah, 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 we want to get on the internet, yada, yada, yada. And I say, great, start with a blog, figure what your voice is, get your passion, understand what you're trying to sell, understand what your community is, communicate to your community, get your community, figure out your community. Oh, now we know how the information we need to build a website that's going to make us a ton of money. Until you understand who your community is and what they want and what products they want, how can you make a device that sells them products if you don't know what they want? And everyone says, let's make a website and sell X. Well, do you know if anybody even wants it? The whole of Silicon Valley, the way they work, they develop a product, they produce the product, they go in, and if it doesn't sell, if they can't even give it away, they do a pivot, which means a 90-degree angle change to their product. The thing that
they usually do that before they build it.
Or they even do two websites
they build
and
it
change it at the same time.
they may build it and they may spend.
They build a prototype.
They may spend $20 million bringing something to market and say, you know what, this doesn't work, and we'll move it over here a little bit, move it over there a little bit. Yeah. So you've got to have that functionality. So I'm just doing that in a micro way with a company. It's like, look, you sell bagels. Why do you sell bagels? What's the benefit to your community to selling the bagels and them eating bagels? Figure that out through a blog, build a community, have some social media interface, get people talking about it, and get them excited. And they say, oh, great. Then go to Joomla, Joomla developer, and say, hey, look, here's a blog I've had for 6 months. Here is all the content. Let's talk about you making me a kick-ass website that will sell to this community. That's the benefit.
Let me say also this, and in regards to the popularity of WordPress and why that took off so well, because it seemed a little bit easier, but they had a hell of a marketing program, and Joomla really never did that. All you folks that are using WordPress, close your eyes and realize the fact that you are utilizing a content management system. The tools will be different in Joomla, but the theory is the same. Yeah. You don't have to stay with WordPress. You can easily move to Joomla if you just let yourself. Don't be afraid, or maybe you can be afraid for a little while. But as long as your theory is down, you can work in any content management system.
So how hard would it be for somebody who is utilizing WordPress now, who is not a developer, to just move their site over to Joomla?
But bottom line in any of this is you have to have a purpose. You can't just step up and go, what'll this do? If you have a purpose, you'll fly.
Yeah, it's content.
Yeah. I think the question we had earlier was, if you have a WordPress website, how hard is it to go? And I think what I would do is probably sit down with the site owner and put them through, I think Kurt does that too, is do a very intensive questioning as to what the purpose is, why do you need it, is it even worth it? Of course, it's job security for me. If you're moving, I'll be, let's go Joomla. But if there's no reason, if your ultimate goal is to blog, why bother switching to Joomla? Now, if you are switching to Joomla with the purpose of adding more functionality to the website. That's great. Now, one of the other things that most people don't realize is, they'll try to take a WordPress site and try to make it do a lot more than it's capable of. Like the last couple of days, I've been getting calls. It's like I've been sending wrong messages out to the universe. I've been getting calls about having shopping carts on a WordPress website, and I chuckle at that. I'm thinking that's like putting, nothing against Ford Escort, but that's like putting a Ford Escort and hauling a massive big trailer behind it. I'm like, give me a break. You can't do that. You'll kill your car. So it's sort of the same. When you go Joomla, there's a robust structure, and I'm not saying that Joomla is a e-commerce favorable, but a lot better than WordPress.
And you can do that, but it's not a good idea.
Right, right.
I have an analogy that I like in this industry, and it might be kind of a WordPress Joomla thing. I'm a developer. I'm a programmer. So I'm an engineer. And when I take on a website, and I think this is important for those new website owners going out and starting, they may look for a web designer. And when they find this web designer, they're really talking to a graphic designer, not a web developer. And it's all due respect to the web designers out there. But I'm eager to hire you as a graphic designer, because as an engineer, I'm going to build a foundation using the Joomla. I'm going to make sure that we have a resourceful and a functional base from which to do operations. Then we'll put pretty pictures on top of it. So when you get a WordPress Joomla thing, typically you get a lot of web designers that might like WordPress because they can use it, but they don't have the talent as an engineer to use something as deep as Joomla. But they probably could.
Or the interest.
Well, they do it because WordPress, they can get up and running pretty quick, but they don't realize they just cut their own legs off. So anyways, when you're looking for a website, you've got a web designer. They think about your website from the logo down. A web developer thinks about your website from the ground up.
Interesting.
And I think like one of the comments you made earlier, Andrew, was about how easy is it to use Joomla versus to WordPress, and they're equally easy. I mean, if you're not going to use all the bells and whistles, you can install Joomla and get off the ground and running in no time, just pretty much the same time as WordPress.
Yeah.
Once you start getting into the deeper functionalities of SES, then it gets slightly bit challenging, and I want to use that word very carefully.
So it has the same kind of back end as
Absolutely.
as WordPress.
It's both WYSIWYG, exactly the same, very similar.
Okay. So at what point does it get more difficult? Are we talking like customizations or of a theme?
Integration and customizations. I mean, Sanj, you do a lot of the customization, probably a lot more than I do. You could probably talk to that. Your boys are busy cranking out the real stuff.
For customizations, I think what ends up happening is, like, say if I get a curveball, these days it seems like most of my clients are not the end users, it's not the site owners, it's other web designers. And my background is very similar to Kurt's, where we're kind of bit on the geeky side of things. Forgive me for saying that, Kurt. But our partners are usually other web designers who sort of like go a certain distance and then sort of get stumped and go, okay, what do I do from this point forward? And that's where we come in. We come in and we actually do the actual plugins and modules and get that off the ground running. In terms of what's different with Joomla and WordPress is it's just a different way of looking at it. When you, like, I've been driving Hondas all my life practically, and when you go from Honda, like I'm due for a new car, and I was just test driving different cars, and I just thought, like, you're so used to when you're for a long time when you're used to having your buttons on the left hand side and then suddenly they're on the right. You know how that feeling of bit being unsettled. You'll experience that a bit when you go from Joomla to WordPress or vice versa, but it's just in terms of usage, in terms of ease of use, they're just as good.
So basically, the different analogy between, say, a Japanese. And
You need a mic.
Ian. Okay. So the sort of the analogy is, so like if you were to look at, say, from example, for like a Honda to a General Motors car, or a Honda to a German car, or a Toyota to a German car, obviously what you get run into, and years ago I looked at a German car and I asked the sales guy, I said, well, how come this works this way? Because it's German. That was his answer to me. Now, that's not to say that there isn't good and bad software products. My question, having I have a couple WordPress sites, and the employer I work for has it. Is, obviously I like WordPress and the usability. I'm by no means a programmer, and I'm by no means a graphic designer, but I think I'm starting to wrap my head a little bit more around the benefits of Joomla, because from a business point of view, when I designed my own websites when I was in the automotive industry, the whole purpose was to create revenue. It wasn't to have a nice looking website, even though that was part of it. The whole purpose to me for websites is part of a marketing plan to draw leads. I mean, I like cool websites, don't get me wrong, but if they don't make me money, I'm not very interested.
Yeah.
I didn't realize that Joomla would give me stuff that WordPress wouldn't, and the reason is I relied on a web designer to do that. I didn't really worry about that because
the key word there was
guy.
web designer.
Well, he's
not always.
No,
he's
in
actually
a lot
not.
Of cases,
he's
that,
not a
that
graphics
is, that is really valid.
But he's
because
not a
web
graphics guy.
designer is not a web developer, and they
But
don't
he's not a
know the
graphics
difference.
guy.
Question: you want a person that is content management specialist. A web
That's different.
designer is a person that can do a good layout. You're
Well,
right about
excuse
that.
my ignorance.
But then
I just
there's a
don't know.
person that you want that's a back end, like server side programmer. You should always know your terminologies before you go approach anybody for a job, because you're not going to go ask a plumber to hammer some nails. So
Well, you
the
could,
more
but it might be
informed you are
expensive.
when you're going to build your business, the better you are in the long run.
Oh,
And
yeah.
that
I mean, I'm
includes
by no
going
means
with
an
your
expert.
Content management systems.
I mean,
I'm by no means
that
an
is
expert,
that's
don't
a
get me
really
wrong.
good point, James.
Yeah.
And what you find is I have a lot of brave people, clients that come to me and say, "Look, we got to get this done," and then there's a lot of folk that say, "WordPress looks easy enough to get this done. Let's try that." That is a good start. That's a great way to flesh out your idea. Yeah. Don't expect to go to market with that particular site, but if that was what it took to draw out what your site needs to be, then take that to a professional. And if you are going to then say, "No, I'm doing this myself," you have to realize that whatever it is that you do, you're a pro at. You may not be a pro at developing websites, so hand it over.
And that was the purpose when I did that, was I hired somebody who knew how to market websites to draw traffic. They chose WordPress. I didn't fight for them because realistically, I'm not a programmer.
There's a big problem right there.
Well,
with the framework that WordPress has and the way that it works with the SEO bots, there's a serious issue.
Well, maybe we need to talk about upgrading that website.
Absolutely.
Well, there's a good website called conversion.xl. Peep is the guy's name that I can't remember his last name, but his first name's Peep, and he does every Friday he does a weekly rant, and a couple of weeks ago his rant was, if you're in business, hire a developer to do your website. And it's funny because his site is all about kind of teaching people how to do it yourself. So on one day he goes on this rant about how to if you really are serious, hire a developer to do your website.
You know what, too, and honestly, if you really think about this in terms of the economic viability of this, if you spend, say, $2,500, you can spend $2,500 on a really well-appointed Joomla website, not a lot of money, but stretch that out over 12 months and look at your payments over 12 months, and you still have a place to do business. Stretch it over 5 years or 2 years, and you still have a place to do business, and look how cheap that is. It's a one-time cost. Yes, you have your ongoing, and then your media and your marketing is where you need to spend your dough. Your dough's not all spent on your website anymore.
So if all you need is a landing page, and there's
no, Bonnie, you don't
That
need that.
hurt. That hurt.
All you need is a product to drive people to. If you can have, anybody can have a landing page if you don't have something for them to buy
No,
or
but
be
I'm not talking about that. I'm talking about marketing.
Let's assume she's already got the product.
That's what I am.
I have 5 products.
So she's got a bunch
And
of products.
I don't these days I don't even want a website. I want a landing page.
A squeeze
That's
page.
what I
Launch
want.
rock.
A
You want
squeeze page.
No, you want a closing page.
A squeeze page.
Call it, I don't care what you call it.
No,
Well,
I
no,
want
that's
one
version, you
page.
wanna use
I want
something-
one page
Yeah.
for them to sign up,
Yeah.
Yeah.
to pay me,
Yeah.
to follow me, to do
Yep.
something.
Well,
I
then
do
that-
not
And you want it to be
a-
mobile too.
Absolutely.
Well, then-
I do not want it to be a multi-page.
Content management system.
No,
First-
I want one page, and I may change it 5 times in the first week.
You know what, though?
But-
That can still be a CMS, but what the thing is, even if it's one page, you still have to be concerned about how the engineering of that page talks to the search bots. When they hit the top, when they crawl that page, that one page, When they crawl that page, they're expecting to find meta information in a specific format in a specific space.
Okay,
and
well,
place.
no, let me
if it isn't there, you go down.
Okay, I'm going to translate that for everybody. What he's saying is that if you have a website, what a website has to do is, it has to do a graphic interpretation of what you want it to do, is like sell this product or make that product look good and have a button saying, oh, I want to buy that. When the person says, I want to buy that, or here's my name, I want that free ebook, then it's back end.
Yeah.
And the back end is salesforce.com
and also,
with a 6-month email campaign, blah, blah, blah. To build that back end database so you don't have to hire somebody at $6,000 a month to do it all for you, it can be automated, botted, basically. That's where something like Joomla really shines. You can do it with WordPress. I got stuck this week. I had to call somebody. I'm not going to mention them in the room, but basically say, hey, dude, I've got these guys that have developed all this stuff in their backend, in their corporate environment. And they say, oh, but here's the code. And I'm going like, what the heck is this? It doesn't work. I've got a WordPress plugin I've already paid for. The client's, he's going to freak out. So, boom, 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 Joomla guy, all fixed. He said, I just had to tweak some code on the WordPress site. If I had had a Joomla site, that maybe not have been an issue.
So you're writing custom code for
I'm
each
not writing
one of your products?
I'm not writing it. The client, in their wisdom, and this is the way clients work, is they know what they're doing. I, as the graphic interface marketing guy, is doing that. I am not telling them how to do their back end, their $100,000 system or their $50,000, $500 a month campaign,
or their $50
whatever.
WordPress theme.
Yeah, or whatever. No, it's not. It's more like Salesforce, and they have an enterprise level Salesforce account, right? If you want to make money, you want to deal with companies that have budgets to do marketing. If you end up with people that have a Salesforce contract or some other enterprise level contract for doing back end, and that back end has to interface with your pretty WordPress site your Joomla site.
I think that you and Bonnie are talking about two different things, though. I think Bonnie's talking about driving traffic.
Bob, I think what Bonnie's talking about, and I can sort of talk about this a little
all right,
bit.
All right,
that was
go
sort
for
of the
it.
purpose behind the websites I set up when I was in the car business, which are still up, but I haven't been utilizing them because I'm in a different area of the business.
You're busy.
But the whole purpose of the website was to do something very simple, to capture leads, generate those so that I could follow up on them.
Exactly.
You can do that in any area. You can do that with any programming language. But I think the thing that's going on with Joomla, which now I understand a little bit better, which is surprising because I've been doing these podcasts for a long time, is that that's a great way to start, whatever the programming language is. But as you get more robust, as you get more leads, as you generate more business through obviously some sort of lost leader, so that way you can capture information. What you need to remember is that Joomla will give you more robust things as you grow. Initially, there's nothing wrong with doing either, but what you have to remember, which is something where, I fell down initially on this after I haven't used it for a while, but you still have to maintain that ranking of the page by doing great content. Even if you just change that content occasionally, you still have to have that back end as you grow. So let's say initially you're dealing with Bonnie, 5 leads a week. Let's just say that's what it is with a good capture page or whatever that is. But let's say that goes to 5,000. Can WordPress handle it? That's the question.
The back end wouldn't be WordPress. Give me a break.
Well, whatever.
Yeah, you know what, Bonnie?
But it
hang
would
on.
not
That's
be
my
custom.
point
It
exactly.
would not be custom
No.
either. That's a
Hang on.
very expensive way to go.
Well, it depends how much money you're making.
There are back ends out there.
Bonnie, let me jump in.
All right.
One-page content management system, no problem, and highly recommended. Security, protection of the code. Most code gets exploited. It has to have a framework that can update and keep pace, whether it's one page or not. I'm now doing a series of websites for the As Seen on TV products, Sticky Roller. We just put that up. It's maybe 4 pages. It's just a little site. But it is a Cadillac behind there to support the business, to keep it working in all browsers, in all mobile devices.
Can you slap it around?
You can, but if you put up a basic HTML page, then how are you responsible for delivering the corporate image in every device, every web browser, every platform?
You should try printing.
You take something like Joomla, and then you have control over that, and then you can deliver your corporate image, even if it's one page, to every device, and guarantee you get that lead.
But I think the question was, it doesn't matter what language she does. I think her question was, if you're doing that page, whatever language she wants, what would be ideal? Why is Joomla better than, say, something else?
You know what it is? It's an irrelevant question. Every platform is adequate, but when you
use Wix for that.
Well, you could definitely use Wix for a bunch of stuff. What happens is when you're evolving, depending what you do, if you're a small business person and you don't have a budget to make money because you've just launching your product, Wix is an amazing product. And you can build it up and you do your thing and then suddenly, oh, look, we sold $500,000 worth of X product. And we want to, and now our sales team is demanding that we use Salesforce because we can have a 30% increase in sales and closures.
That's just scaling, though. You have to get an actual customer
That
base
is
no,
it's not scaling. That's a company growing into specific products that are out there. That's what happens when you build a company. You start a company, it grows, and then your sales team or whoever's making you money, you listen to. Oh, we just made $500,000 in sales. Would you like to increase it by 30%? How much will that cost? It'll cost you $10,000 a month. I'll buy that because my product makes me that much product.
Yeah, that's the thing.
It's a business's decision.
That's the thing you have to remember. I mean, I think the biggest falling down for anyone online, and I'm not sure if that's true with Bonnie, but what I know from even LinkedIn, and I'll give you an example from them in a minute, is that unfortunately internet marketers believe that the computer can do everything for them. Sooner or later, you have to reach out to that person over the phone or over email and turn that into a sale. Don't assume that no matter how sophisticated your front end is, no matter how smart you are, no matter how adaptive you are, that you can replace a person's interaction. The biggest mistake internet marketers make over and over and over again, and I obviously get emails from thousands of them, is they don't do what they need to do to close the deal. Remember that at the end of the day, you need to talk to that person at some point to really maximize every opportunity. If you don't do that, you fail. LinkedIn, I wanted to upgrade our account for the company. Over and over again, I got emails, and what happened was they didn't call me.
Well,
all right, and with that note, Ian, well done. That's awesome. We're wrapping up the show with awesome show. Thank you for joining us. We have a piss load of awesome people here tonight. We didn't get to talk to most of them.
And next week, we're going to be talking podcasting with the mighty Quinn.
Oh, ho, ho. It's a podcasting show coming up. Dangerous. Oh, everybody's so disappointed.
But as you grow it out.